Afraid this body has a mind of its own, and what it wants is him. Regrettably, I don't think I'll be able to resist its pull.
Oh, that's quite all right. Saiyans are the worst blight in the entire cosmos. They clearly acquire their tremendous strength in inverse proportion to their mental maturity, and so they deserve punishment most of all. What do you say we destroy them together?
You guys are a couple of jerks, aren't ya?
Yeah, so, that said, with the reveal of what Zamasu exactly did to bring Goku Black into existence and all that jazz, I felt it worked. I liked it, and that is definitely, I mean, granted, I had my own theory about Goku Black during the early episodes, which, if it had been true, dude, that would have been amazing. But, but no, it wasn't the case. But,
What did you think?
Because, and this is something I give the show credit for, too. If you look at the opening, because, you know, they update the opening slightly for the new characters, they make Zamasu look heroic in the opening. So they're really trying not to make it seem like he's a bad guy, at least at first.
Yeah.
Granted, like, as soon as he has that convo with Gowasu, you know he's gonna be up to something. But, like, here was my theory. I thought, especially because of how, at one point, you guys remember the scene where Goku Black, he gets forced back into the future?
Yeah.
And then he's, like, clutching his chest and he falls to the ground?
Yeah.
Now, that was probably just an animation error, because, like, you know, in the fight, Goku fucking kneed him in the stomach, not in the chest. So that's probably what they were going for with that. But he happened to be holding his chest in the same way that Goku did when he was suffering from the heart disease.
Yeah.
So my theory was that the future version of Gero got a hold of Goku's corpse and basically reanimated it as an android. That was my theory. And before you say, oh, well, he wouldn't have had time, well, fucking Fighters makes the excuse that he had labs set up everywhere. They could have just done that for him, too. So that was my theory about what it was, that he was an android Goku. Like, he'd literally be, like, the shining, like, dark messiah of Dr. Gero, essentially. Was not the case, but that was my theory. So, like, did you guys have any theories, or were you guys like, I'm just gonna wait to see what happens? Like,
I fucking remember, it was ages ago.
I kind of like the idea of, I know this is like a major stretch. Certainly not the only stretch I've heard. I've heard some people argue that Goku Black was Goten, like back when people were speculating, which...
No, fucking Grand Padre is Goten Black, obviously.
I kind of like the idea of
Gowasu.
I kind of like the idea of Gowasu maybe being Goku Black, because what they were kind of doing with Zamasu and Gowasu's exchanges, it was very much, you know, questioning your way student, you know, starting to kind of think for themselves, and I don't want to say seeking guidance from your teacher, but I felt like that sort of dynamic between Zamasu and Gowasu was it was almost kind of cliche, and so I felt like, I don't mean cliche in like it was a bad way, but like I felt like it was kind of leading itself to a certain point, and I kind of like the idea, one, of just two Kais going rogue. I feel like that was, I mean, they kind of did that with Zamasu, even though he was a Supreme Kai apprentice, so he was basically the equivalent of Kibito. But, I kind of like the idea of, you know, Supreme Kai going rogue. Sort of turning to the dark side, if you will. And, sort of like, maybe, Gowasu is trying to kind of, like, he suppressed these, like, bad thoughts, and he kind of was thinking the same way. as he was trying to kind of steer Zamasu on a path different than the one he was kind of headed towards. I know it's like a major stretch. Because I really felt like it being Zamasu was a little too easy. And I felt like, even though it's Dragon Ball, and it's, we're a little past the demographic. And I understand that, but I feel like at this point, with the series being as huge as it is, even in Japan, there's absolutely no way that the show is just being watched by children. I do not believe that for a second. And so I felt like they have Toei, Toriyama, Toyotaro, and whoever is in charge of making the story, they have to know this. And so I feel like while I didn't hate it and I thought it was, fine for what it was, at first it did kind of leave me wanting a little bit more. Like something to kind of really be all like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. Because I feel like they were, even though it was subtle, they were kind of leading us towards, at the very least, Zamasu being evil.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But, fuck. But, yeah, like I said, that is definitely one thing I will give, the show. It's, like, granted by now, the feeling's gonna be gone for anyone who did watch it as it aired, because, this being Dragon Ball, the spoilers are everywhere. But while the show was airing, I give the saga credit for definitely having an air of mystery to it. Like, a very solid one. Like, so, now,